This news program is proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Now Biscuits.
Prime Minister Marape gives special independence message. Police Commissioner gives update for independence police operations. And Prime Minister Marape says Pangu is still intact. Good evening. You're watching National Emtv News. I'm Malcolm Wyra. Thank you for joining us. Prime Minister James Marape calls on all citizens to uphold the rule of law as his official independence message to the people. Prime Minister Marape says this can be seen as an individual contribution towards the development of this country going forward.
As we stand to celebrate and observe the country's 48th independence, it is vital to acknowledge those that came before us and honor those who are with us. These are the Prime Minister's words when conveying his independence message.
Over 800 different languages. We came together at 1975. Many wrote us off. Many thought we would not survive the test of time. Many thought that the assembly of many tribal nations into one country, one people, one nationhood would not last. But to the contrary, to testament of our own ability as a people that is resilient to many challenges, we have survived the last 48 years. I just want to firstly pay respect to the generations of past. As we speak today, the generations of past, many have gone, few remain with us. We honor the few that remain, including Sir Julius, who is part of the 11th Parliament today. But those that have come before us, we remember them and we pay our gratitude and our appreciation to the earlier generation. But today the task is on us, Papua New Guineans today.
Prime Minister alluded that one of the greatest contributions individuals can give to their country is to respect the rule of law and urged citizens to uphold the law.
The challenge is still monumental, and I just want to impress upon everyone as we come to the 48th anniversary of our nationhood. Each and every one of us have a task to play. Most of us sitting on this side, we work long hours a day just to ensure that our country is progressing. But I want to reflect back to our citizens, and the number one call in the 48th anniversary is citizens' role in development. The citizens' role in development is, number one, respect the rule of law. All of us, Papua New Guineans, from those who are in the villages, those who are urban communities, those who are working, to those of us in leadership. If all of us together can respect the rule of law, then much of our country's tension are brought to ease. And you can then point to government to step up and to do what we're supposed to do.
Sharon Engnoi, National Emtv News.
As PNG citizens stand to observe and celebrate the country's 48th independence, Prime Minister Marape reflects on some of the positive development impacts the government has achieved under the Marape-Rosso-led government since Pangu took office. He made this statement at a press conference held at the Manasupe House in Port Moresby today.
Prior on reflecting on the positive development impacts, the Prime Minister labelled the year 2023 to be the most challenging year for the country, especially in the law and order space.
And those of us at the leadership table, we lead from our front and we're doing our very best, supported by all department heads who work with us. The challenges in 2023 is not easy. Today, as I speak, we have an education system that is not sufficient to embrace all the educational needs of our country. We have a health system that is not sufficient to adequately dispense modern quality health services to our people. We have infrastructures that needs to be refixed up, and connections to all parts of our country is not 100% available for domestic connectivity. Our lawlessness has continued to grow and increased many folds, matching the huge bulge in youthful population.
Marape reiterated that the health, education, law and order and infrastructure development has seen some major improvement compared to previous government and highlighted some of the positive impacts in these areas.
In the education sector, we've brought back 84,000 kids back into second chance learning. They're now back into second chance learning through the alternate educational pathway. We've put as a result of knowing that population have dropped out of grade 8, grade 10, grade 12 in our society doing nothing. And I want to also indicate to you, you have seen the export of 42 students to the best schools in US. That program we run, the best of grade 12s, we will pick, government sponsor, we will send to the best schools globally to come back as highly trained Papua New Guineans. In the health sector, we've started, you've already seen us opening Boram Hospital. Goroka Hospital was already open under the last government. We're carrying on in that program. We've invested over 300 million kina in Enga Hospital, which is now a modern hospital. Very soon, hopefully before December, we'll open Papua New Guinea's first fully kitted modern cancer facility at Port Moresby General Hospital.
Marape added that the police department has been receiving support from the government to address the manpower issues and so to address lawlessness in the country.
Training will be running, if not just one training, but a couple of training, multiple trainings will be running, so that we bring back our police force to a 7,000 to a 10,000 police force at the very earliest to have a handle on what is continued stress placed on today an aging police force of under 5,000 Commissioner Mining has been dealing with for the last 4 years he's been Commissioner.
Sharon Engnui, National Emtv News.
The Constitutional and Law Reform Commission is on schedule to complete and submit to the government the final report on the review of the form and systems of government, the election of the Prime Minister by the people in December this year. This is according to the Secretary, Dr. Mange Matui. Dr. Matui said the review is currently at the data analysis and report writing stage.
Dr. Matthew says this stage requires a lot of reading, writing, and importantly analyzing the youth's body of data collected against the relevant laws, policies, and government directives in order to come up with the best possible recommendations. He says work on the data analysis and report compilation began immediately following the conclusion of the overseas study tour to Fiji, Australia, United Kingdom, Malaysia, Thailand, and Singapore in July. Dr. Matthew is pleased with the progress of the review so far. He said all major items of the review happened as planned, starting with the official launch, the nationwide consultation, rewritten submissions, and technical reports from the experts, and the study tour. He said the government expects this report to be ready as part of the celebrations for the 50th independence anniversary in 2025. He said they understand the significance of this report to the government and the country as a whole, and they are doing everything possible not only complete and deliver the report, but likewise to propose the best recommendations that should be sound, practical, workable, and suitable to Papua New Guinea's circumstances to take PNG forward for the next 50 years. Esther Gane, National Emtv News.
The laws should be changed to allow for paid maternity leave to come into effect. This is the overwhelming feedback stakeholders expressed during the consultations on the review of the Employment Laws, Employment Act 1978, maternity leave in PNG.
The Employment Act 1978 currently does not provide for paid maternity leave. Instead, it only provides for time taken off, which is the minimum requirement. Dr. Matthew said, adding that is the critical matter facing especially the private sector as opposed to the public sector. However, he said it was also pleasing to note from the consultations that some private sector companies have gone beyond the minimum requirement by paying 12 weeks maternity leave, similar to the public sector. Dr. Matthew further said other concerns the stakeholders raised include disparity of the terms and conditions of employment, contracts of citizens and non-citizens, the issue of pregnancy being used as grounds for termination, and the need for relevant government agencies to monitoring of foreign national workers from breaching their terms and conditions in taking up reserved jobs. The views collected are the practical realities on the ground, and their job is to make sure they propose recommendations for law or policy reforms that directly address those realities. Consultations have already been carried out in selected centers in Vanimo, Alotau, Goroka, Keviang and Ley from the 13th of August to the 8th of September 2023, with good attendance from the private sector, NGOs, faith-based organizations, private schools, semi-government research groups and women groups. Final consultation will take place in NCD from the 19th to the 21st of September 2023 before work begins on compiling a final report for presentation to the government this year. The review was launched on the 29th of August 2023 with the primary aim to review the outdated employment laws of PNG on the issue of maternity leave. Esther Gane, National Emtv News.
Residents of Hohola Tree came out in full independence and traditional regalia to commemorate the nation's 48th independence with traditional dancing and singing from provincial groups.
The Independence Mini Show is the second since it started last year. Speaking to MTV, event organizing chairperson John Sawam had this to say regarding the mini cultural show.
An initiative of a youth association that we are spearheading. It's called the Native Youth Association. So this is one of the big initiatives that we came up with to empower the youths, carry them out of other activities that are illegal and all of that sort. So the event itself is an initiative spearheaded by this association. This is the second time since our initiation of the group to actually host an event as such.
Sawam said the committee had no outside support and held fundraising in the past couple of weeks to hold the show.
No support from any government body or any NGOs, none whatsoever. All of this was from ourselves, the community and the youths. So we did fundraisings prior, like 1 month fundraisings to actually have the funds to finance this event here.
Sawam went on to mention the preparation and participating groups that took part today.
We initiated the announcement to everyone on the 1st of August. So we told everyone that, okay, the event's going to start, so we need everyone to be prepared in advance because of, hiring costumes and instruments and all of this. So we started 1 month early.
Tamara Agavi, National Emtv News.
National Emtv News continues after the break with more stories. Stay with us. You're watching National Emtv News. Commissioner of Police David Manning held a press conference today to brief Papua New Guinea on policing operations for the independence period.
The whole week for everyone to do their press release or conference.
Commissioner Manning gave a brief update on the known problems that has been happening around the country since the recent general election. He has mentioned the ongoing fight in the islands region with the recruitment of police and the challenges faced by police to address law and order issues in the country.
Against these emerging crime types, if you like, and there are many. Gone are the days where Papua New Guinea as a country has been sheltered from certain quite complex crime types that are faced by many jurisdictions around the world. And as such, it is very much incumbent on the current leadership of the police force to ensure that we understand those crime types, how they develop, how they sustained, or how they come into existence in our country.
One of the newest threats to PNG the police force has encountered is the introduction of drugs and guns. Commissioner Manning highlighted the activity of the international criminal organization who have been involved in trafficking guns and drugs such as methamphetamine in the country.
criminal organizations that are trafficking drugs and guns. I made a joint statement two weeks ago with the acting CDF on our concerns about the continuous high proliferation of weapons or illegal firearms in the country. We have taken steps in the constabulary to better resource our people, who, especially in the front line, who are working tirelessly 24/7 to ensure that our communities that we serve remain safe.
The alarming increase in the use of methamphetamine, commonly known as meth, are being used by many young people and working class people in PNG. Commissioner Manning said police are also investigating and have apprehended suspects who are involved in the production, distribution and consumption of methamphetamine or cocaine drug.
All indications are that continues to be the case, but we are picking up, and evidence would suggest, and we have made some arrests so far. One is recently, in the last 24 hours, of people based in Papua New Guinea, both Papua New Guineans and expatriates, who have been caught with drug-using implements as well as drug manufacturing implements. This, of course, has to be has to be taken seriously.
Commissioner says methamphetamine not only destroys lives but also poses a severe threat to the safety and well-being of our community. Louis Maingu, National Emtv News.
Prime Minister and leader of Pangu Party, James Marape, brushed aside allegations surrounding the split of Pangu Party that is circulating the public space. Prime Minister reaffirms that Pangu remains intact.
To PM Marape, the rumors about Pangu split is all fake and labeled it as a false spin.
Some of the false spin in the public space that Pangu Party is broken is totally hogwash and negative. We are solid as ever. At my back is the General Secretary of the party. Deputy Prime Minister is the Deputy Party Leader. We are together as we face 48 years of our nationhood.
Marape emphasized that Pangu Party remains solid, intact, and stands united with other coalition party with like-minded policy to focus on lifting its efforts in serving the people.
We are focused on ensuring that we lift the game in delivering to our people what is their due services and their due entitlements in as far as development is concerned. So clearly knowing how we've come in the last 44, 45, 46 years before we really took serious government, and more especially coming at the back of our success as a party and a coalition of like-minded parties, assisted by URP and Sustainable People's First Party and People's Party and Governor Pako's party, SDP party, and all the other host of one-man parties we have and the independents who've joined us. We focus on ensuring that we do better for our people as we move towards 50th anniversary of our nationhood in 2025, but more importantly, beyond that into the balance of this decade.
Marape then announced the Pangu Party convention that will be hosted in Ley Marape province next month.
22nd, 23rd next month in Ley, our national convention, as required by our party constitution, will take place in Ley. That is where the major decisions of the party will be taking place.
Sharon Engnui, National Emtv News.
The central provincial government has funded police operations during Independence Day, including a bonus of 20,000 kina to each local level government for independence celebrations. The announcement was made by Central Provincial Governor Rufina Peter yesterday in Port Moresby.
As the country looks forward to celebrating its 48th independence, Central Province has been graced with funding for the people to gather and reflect on the country's journey thus far. Hence, police operations were given priority to monitor celebrations. Central Province Governor Rufina Peter stated the funds allocation.
The provincial government has taken responsibility for half of the cost, so we are giving him We are giving our Central Police 119,200 kina for the operations during this independence period, and the balance will be met by the open members, the 5 open members.
She further added that each of the LLGs of the province has been allocated funding as well.
The Provincial Executive Council and the Provincial Assembly have, in our revised budget, passed to have 20,000 given to each of the LLGs, which the LLG president should be picking up their checks or funds from here to travel to their LLGs and celebrate with their councillors and the people. This is an increase from 9,000 that we gave last year. So last year it was 9,000, and this year we are giving 20,000.
Grace Papiali, National Emtv News.
Meanwhile, Central Province Governor Rufina Peter announced that Central Province will undergo its LLG's peace program at 3 LLGs in the Goilala district. Governor Rufina Peter gave her announcement yesterday in Port Moresby.
Governor Peter stated that it is her role to lead her people to reconcile and unite to build the Central Province in order to contribute to the prosperity of the nation of Papua New Guinea. The ward-level activities will start with individual family units reconciling amongst themselves, extended families and clans, and will progress to ward and LLG into the district level reflection and reconciliation.
I would like to have taken all of my wards, districts, the 5 districts, and all of the wards and LLGs within the districts to have done this deep and genuine reflection, peace and reconciliation where it's needed, and so that we are ready to build. We are ready in the sense that we have now set a strong foundation to build on from 2025 for the next 50 years.
The Provincial Executive Council has resolved to see the Peace and Reconciliation Program rolled out to the remaining districts of Central Province and completed before September 16, 2025. Grace Papiali, National Emtv News.
Waigani Christian College celebrated its School Independence Day yesterday at their school in Port Moresby. School Principal Susan Loy described the day as a proud PNG day.
22 cultural groups of students all danced to the rhythm of their cultural songs as they celebrate pre-independence. Waigani Christian College Principal Susan Loy described the day as a proud moment for the school.
We want to showcase and make the children learn that everyone has an originality. Seeing the kids performing, that is why I am in this, and I also performed because I am from Central, but in my heart I am a Papua New Guinean. So taking the lead and the children follow after me. God bless Papua New Guinea.
School Vice Head Boy Kane Takisius also gave his remarks.
All the students, they come together to showcase what they have, their talents and gifts, and also to showcase their culture.
Grace Papiali, National Emtv News.
National Emtv News continues after the break. Stay with us. You're watching National Emtv News. The Kop College in the nation's capital today celebrated its school cultural show with the theme Embracing Culture Through Visual Content. The day witnessed traditional dancing and speeches from the one keynote speaker, Secretary for the Department of Personal Management, Thaya Sansan, who encouraged students to continue to embrace culture and keep their identity as Papua New Guineans, upon wishing everyone a happy independence celebrations.
The Independence Cultural Show for the Kop College started with a contemporary dance performed by the ECCE. Event coordinator explained the day's activities and the pre-independence cultural celebrations hosted by the Kop College, witnessed by parents, families and teachers.
We decided to have the theme as embracing culture through visual context. This is basically to have students to go back into their original groups and produce videos for their respective legend. The main focus of the activities for this year was for students to go back and work on the legend.
The event is one way of embracing PNG's diverse cultures and traditions. Several performances came from the 4 regions of Papua New Guinea. They saw dancers from the Momase region. A performance from the Highlands region saw Mr. Samuel Pius Mark and Mr. Billy take charge for the students of the Highlands region.
Was sent to marry a man from the land of Hugh.
And from the New Guinea Islands region. And the southern region of Papua New Guinea as students danced in celebrations for the country's 48th independence. Keynote speaker at the event was Secretary for the Department of Personnel Management, Taye Sansan, who acknowledged unity and togetherness by PNG as a country, acknowledging that today is the day for the students.
Students here this morning, that this is your time. 48 years we have come this far. How do we expect to see Papua New Guinea in the next 48 years?
She encouraged the students to embrace their differences and celebrate the anniversary of the country and its true spirit as one people, one nation and one country as Papua New Guinea.
The day before the actual Independence Day, Kop College celebrates the Kop College Cultural Day. So it's basically a celebration with national independence.
The day continued with more sing and dancing performed by the students as they celebrated the country's 48th independence. Godwin Eki, National Emtv News.
Emtv News went around Port Moresby City today and got the views of residents on what being independent means to them and also about their plans for the long independence weekend.
So I'd like to, and for everyone to take a step back and look into the eyes of our forefathers who initiated independence in this country. What did they see in our people? What did they feel at the time to take independence? When we look back at that, we will really see the true meaning and the depth of independence.
We are being free from being controlled by other superpower nations and other countries. That's what independence means to me, and if we can do anything we want to do, because our land, this is a free land. We have resources, everything that we need.
Independence is a very special day, a day to us, because our forefathers has brought this nation together. So it's a very meaningful day for us to address in our cultural villas.
Remember the colonized time where our boo-boos were colonized, were colonized by other countries, and they were under hard labor. They were going through, and because of our forefathers, mainly Sir Michael Somare, who fought hard with the team to lead us forward.
Freedom of speech, being together with family and sharing the cultures that we don't get to visit each provinces and see. At this time, like for a small community like us, it's so wonderful to get out of our homes and be together.
Member for Kundiawa Gambog, Muguwa Dilu, is of the view that culture and tourism in Papua New Guinea can generate millions of kina. He mentioned this recently during Kundiawa Cultural Show hosted at Dixon Oval in Kundiawa, Chimbu Province.
Papua New Guinea, with its diverse and unique culture and traditions, can attract tourists, bringing in a lot of money. The Kundiawa Gembog member said tourism has a potential to become a commodity if the government worked on boosting the sector. He said independence celebrations every September 16 can be a time to promote culture and traditions that are unique to other countries in the world.
This September 16 celebrating independence. This thing was a country in Nidlong. And Nidlong putting much more effort into it. You may must promote the president on the commodity. Commodity minimum coffee, cocoa is exporting, so exporting, washing, drying, having going to put him over the energy resource to give it. No, walking about having money to receive 2 years promoting Muslim. September 16 in a solid. Also on the commodity, so that you can attract more tourists come into all parts of the country.
He also told cultural groups that their traditional dressings must be original and authentic. This means there should not be any modern clothing and other factory-made materials and paintings used.
Now here is starting, but we must encourage him, Tourism Promotion Authority, the national government taking national approach to making September 16 come up with some commodities so you can sell it. Or tourists can come in far and wide as far as Asia, Australia, New Zealand, America, all can come on September 16 long, watch him show, independence celebration long country. Go throughout the country where you may have 800 different cultures and languages, so all the hours through the come.
Meanwhile, Tourism Promotions Authority Managing Director Eric Mossman revealed that TPA had conducted research and found that the global value of culture and tourism is around $450 billion. He said PNG has not even captured 1% of that figure. He said 1% is around $4.5 billion, which is more than a single mineral resource project, adding that the 2-day Goroka show brings only $10 million. Natasha Ovoy, National Emtv News.
As the people around the country are celebrating these 48th independence celebrations, the people of Western Province are currently participating in the celebrations. In Kiunga alone, North Flight District, the independence celebrations began this afternoon. Thousands of people dressed in colors of PNG with various traditional dance performances staged at the main oval in Kiunga. School children, men and women in Kiunga Urban LLG, including nearby settlements, heard their local member, James Donald, call for unity for change in Western Province going forward. Vice Minister for Border Development and Mining, James Donald, is currently in Kiunga with his people to celebrate this independence. He has also called on all people celebrating in other local level governments within the district to celebrate peacefully. Celebrations in Western Province will continue throughout this weekend. You're watching National Emtv News. We go for a quick break.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. In the Rugby Union World Cup, Fiji have cemented themselves as the true dark horses in the World Cup, sporting if not the best backline in their pool. They lost over the weekend in a controversial match against a stacked Wales side.
Yes, they can and they will back it up. I really hope so, Emma. I mean, I'm going over there. They've got to back it up. They've got to get another win on the board. But Fiji are going to be a really tough assignment. They are so talented. They're big, strong, athletic, but they're also very unstructured and chaotic. And I don't mean that as a negative to them. They make opposition sides feel really uncomfortable. Now, they lost their first game to Wales, but they were very unlucky. They had the bad end of some refereeing decisions, and officiating has been a big story in this Rugby World Cup. We need a whole show to talk about that.
Yes.
But I really felt for them in how There should have been another yellow to Wales, undoubtedly, but Wales came through only just. They showed just how big a threat they are to the Wallabies.
That ends Trukai Sports. The Money Plus weather report is next. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by Money Plus, with you always.
The weather forecast for the next 24 hours for the southern region: Port Moresby City, windy and partly sunny and fine. Daru, windy and partly cloudy. Kerama, windy and partly cloudy. Alatau, mostly fine. Popondetta, partly sunny and fine.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by Money Plus, with you always.
Before we go, Emtv will telecast and live stream the Independence flag raising ceremony tomorrow at the Independence Hill in Port Moresby from 5 a.m. to 6:45 a.m. You can also watch the replay at 1 p.m. to 2:45 p.m. And that wraps up the news, sports and weather for Friday, the 15th of September 2023. From all of us here, pleasant viewing. Good night.
This news program was proudly brought to you by Smart Start Breakfast Biscuits and Gold Nuggets.